Welcome to the Growth Snack. We're always looking for those ideas that can, well, really make a difference in everyday life.
Definitely.
And today, we're diving into a real powerhouse, James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Yes. It's a book that struck a chord with so many people. And, for good reason.
Totally.
So for you listening, we wanted to go a bit deeper than just a quick summary, really get into the core principles that make it work so well.
And Clear's own story, it's like living proof of these ideas, isn't it?
Absolutely. This wasn't just theory for him.
Right. Think back to his college days.
Yeah.
That really awful baseball injury.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking a broken nose, facial fractures, even a bulging left eye. Just brutal.
And the recovery, double vision, having to relearn basic motor skills. It was a long, tough process.
Exactly. And the key thing, which he really emphasizes in the book, is that his comeback wasn't about some huge dramatic leap.
Oh, not at all.
It was all about these small wins accumulating, right? Tiny breakthroughs adding up over time.
And that personal experience, rebuilding himself piece by piece, that really became the bedrock for his thinking on habits.
Which he then applied to his writing and, well, eventually to this book.
Yeah, he started way back in 2012, just sharing his personal habit experiments online.
It wasn't like an overnight thing either.
No, but that consistency, showing up, writing regularly, it built a real connection. By 2014, he had, over 100,000 email subscribers?
Yeah. Proof that those small, consistent actions really do compound.
And that momentum led to speaking gigs and then finally the book deal in 2015 that gave us Atomic Habits.
So our mission today, diving into this book, is really to pull out the most impactful ideas.
Right. We want to help you understand how habits actually work.
Or crucially, show you how you can use that understanding to build good habits, break bad ones.
And do it in a way that feels manageable, not, totally overwhelming.
Okay, so let's kick things off with maybe the most foundational idea in the book, the power of tiny gains.
Yes. It sounds simple, almost too simple sometimes, but it's incredibly profound. Clear calls habits the compound interest of self-improvement.
That's such a great analogy.
It really is. Think financially. Small savings, consistently invested, grow hugely over time. It's the same with habits.
Those tiny improvements, like getting just 1% better each day, they don't seem like much initially.
Exactly. But they compound, they build on each other, leading to really significant results down the road. It's about shifting your whole trajectory.
The book gives some great examples too, like your financial situation today. It's basically the sum of your past money habits.
Your weight reflects your eating habits. Your knowledge comes from your learning habits.
Even the clutter in your home, it's your cleaning habits playing out.
What you do consistently shapes who you become. It's that straightforward.
But here's the tricky part, right? When you first start making changes, you often don't see results immediately.
That's a huge hurdle. You're putting in the work, but maybe the scale isn't moving or you don't feel smarter overnight.
And that can lead to what the book calls the plateau of latent potential.
Or the valley of disappointment, as he also puts it. It's that feeling of, I'm trying so hard, why isn't anything happening?
Oh yeah, that feeling is so demotivating. You just want to give up.
It really is. But Clear's point is crucial. Your effort isn't wasted. It's being stored.
He uses that ice cube analogy. Right?
Exactly. You heat an ice cube from, say, 25 to 31 degrees. You're adding energy, work is being done, but nothing looks different.
Right.
The big change, the melting, only happens when you hit that 32-degree threshold.
Okay.
Your efforts are building up that potential. The breakthrough happens when you cross that line. That's why people see overnight success, but miss all the work beforehand.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Trust the process, even when the results aren't obvious yet.
Precisely. Keep making those tiny gains.
Okay, so building on that long-term view, the book encourages us to shift our focus away from just the end result towards our systems. Is that right?
That's exactly it. Clear talks about 3 layers of change. You've got outcomes, the results, like losing weight. Then processes or systems, that's your habits, your routines, like your diet and exercise plan.
Got it.
And finally, identity, your core beliefs about yourself. He argues the most effective way to change habits long-term is to focus on improving your systems.
So improve the daily processes, and the desired outcomes will naturally follow.
Yes. Instead of obsessing over the finish line, focus on running the race well each day.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the book also sort of warns against focusing only on goals, doesn't it? Why can goals be problematic?
Well, a few reasons. Goals can be temporary fixes. You reach the goal, then what? If the system underneath hasn't changed, you might just slide back.
Like cleaning your messy room once versus building the habit of tidying up daily.
Exactly. Also, goals can sometimes postpone happiness. You think, I'll be happy when I achieve X.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they can create this sort of all-or-nothing conflict. Either you win or you fail. That's not always helpful for motivation.
So what's the more powerful alternative the book pushes for? It comes back to identity, right?
That is absolutely the core idea. Identity-based habits. The goal isn't just to do something different, it's to be someone different.
Okay, explain that a bit more.
Your habits become a reflection of the type of person you believe you are. So if you shift your identity, if you start seeing yourself as, say, a healthy person.
Then making healthy choices feels natural.
Exactly. It's not a chore anymore, it's just who you are. You're acting in alignment with your self-image.
So instead of, I want to write a book, it's, I am a writer, and then the act of writing follows from that identity.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it creates this positive feedback loop. Every time you perform the habit, you reinforce that identity.
I see. So the habits shape the identity, and the identity makes the habits easier.
Exactly. You focus on becoming the type of person who achieves those outcomes rather than just chasing the outcomes themselves.
That's a really profound shift in perspective.
Okay.
So we understand small gains, the focus on systems, the power of identity. Now let's get practical. The book gives us the 4 laws of behavior change.
Yes, this is the real how-to framework. It's built around the basic habit loop. Cue, craving, response, reward.
Right.
Understanding these 4 parts is key to improving any habit. And just to lay it out for you listening, Law 1 is about the cue, Law 2 the craving, Law 3 the response, and Law 4 the reward.
Okay, let's break down Law 1. Make it obvious. This is about the cue, the trigger.
Exactly. The cue is what kicks off the habit. It's some piece of information that predicts a reward is coming. Our brains are constantly scanning for these cues, often without us even realizing it.
So the first step is just noticing them.
Yes, awareness is critical. The book suggests using a habit scorecard. Literally just list your daily habits to see what they are and what triggers them, making the unconscious conscious.
Like that pointing and calling technique from the Japanese railways you mentioned earlier, saying it out loud makes you aware.
Precisely. Once you see the cues, you can start designing your environment. Make the cues for good habits super obvious. Make the cues for bad habits invisible.
How do you make them obvious?
Well, the book talks about implementation intentions. That's the formula. I will behavior at time and location. It makes the cue really specific.
Okay.
And then there's habit stacking, linking a new habit to when you already do. After current habit, I will new habit.
So like after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Using the coffee as the obvious cue.
You got it. And environment design is huge here. Remember Lewin's equation. Behavior is a function of the person and their environment.
We often just do what's easiest or most visible.
Right. If the cookies are on the counter, you'll probably eat them. So make good cues obvious. Leave your running shoes by the door. Hide bad cues. Put the junk food away.
The book also mentions one space, one use, right? Don't mix contexts.
Yeah, try not to work in the same place you relax, for example. It avoids conflicting cues.
Yeah.
Clear even moved house partly to get a separate office to enforce that boundary.
Makes sense. Okay, Law 2. Make it attractive. This targets the craving part.
Yes, the craving is the motivation, the desire for the reward. It's driven by dopamine, the anticipation of pleasure.
So how do we make good habits more appealing?
One technique is temptation bundling. You pair something you want to do with something you need to do.
Like, I can only watch my favorite Netflix show while I'm on the exercise bike.
Exactly. You link the want to the need. Another big factor is social norms. We imitate people around us.
The close, the many, the powerful, as the book says.
Right. So joining a group where your desired habit is the normal behavior makes it way more attractive. If all your friends run, you're more likely to find running attractive.
And what about mindset? Can we reframe habits?
Absolutely. Focus on the benefits, not the drawbacks. Instead of, I have to go for a run, think, I get to clear my head and boost my energy. That small shift makes it feel less like a chore and more like an opportunity.
That reframing is surprisingly effective.
Okay, Law 3. Make it easy. This is about the actual habit, the response.
Correct. The easier the habit is to do, the more likely you are to do it. We naturally gravitate towards the path of least effort.
The book distinguishes between motion and action here, doesn't it? Yes, that's important. Motion is planning, strategizing, learning. Action is actually doing the thing that produces an outcome. We often get stuck in motion because it feels productive, but it doesn't get results and avoids the risk of failure.
So how do we make the action easier?
The 2-minute rule is key. When starting a new habit, scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes.
Like read one page instead of read a chapter.
Exactly. Or put on my running shoes instead of run 5 miles. Master the art of showing up first. Just start.
It lowers that initial friction so much, and then you build from there.
Yes, that's habit shaping. Once the 2-minute version is established, you gradually increase it. The goal is to reduce friction everywhere you can. Think of removing kinks in a hose.
So automating things like bill payments helps.
Definitely. And priming the environment. Laying out your clothes the night before makes the morning workout easier. It's about making the next action obvious and easy.
Being aware of those decisive moments, those small choices that set your path for the next hour or day.
Exactly. Making the easy, good choice in those moments adds up massively over time.
Okay, finally, Law 4. Make it satisfying. This closes the loop with a reward.
Yes. We repeat what feels good. Our brain is wired to seek immediate satisfaction.
But lots of good habits have delayed rewards, right? Like exercise or saving money.
That's the challenge. We live in a delayed return environment, but our brains evolved for immediate gratification. So we need to find ways to make good habits immediately satisfying.
How can we do that? Add a small reward right after.
Yes, but make sure the reward aligns with your desired identity. Don't reward a workout with a giant sundae if you're trying to be healthy. Maybe track your progress.
Habit tracking. The book talks a lot about that.
Right. Seeing your progress visually, like marking an X on a calendar, is inherently satisfying. It builds momentum. You don't want to break the chain.
It gives you that little dopamine hit right away.
Exactly. And accountability partners or habit contracts can work too, but by making the bad habit immediately unsatisfying, like having to pay a friend if you skip a workout.
Makes the consequence immediate. Sure. The book also touches on aligning habits with your natural talents, right?
Yeah.
For greater satisfaction.
Yes. Playing to your strengths makes things feel less like a struggle and more enjoyable. And staying in that Goldilocks zone, challenged but not overwhelmed, keeps things engaging long term. You have to find ways to stay motivated even when boredom hits.
So these 4 laws, they all work together to shape behavior, but ultimately it loops back to identity.
That's the ultimate takeaway. Lasting change is identity change. As you build habits, your identity evolves. You start seeing yourself differently.
And you have to keep refining things, shedding old beliefs that no longer serve you.
Right. It's a continuous process. Remember, desire kicks things off, but satisfaction keeps them going. Finding peace often means wanting less, not always achieving more. That equation. Satisfaction, liking wanting.
It really is a lifelong journey of self-awareness and improvement, applying these ideas.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay. That was a fantastic deep dive into atomic habits.
Yeah.
Just to quickly recap for you listening, we covered the huge impact of tiny, consistent gains.
Why focusing on your systems beats just chasing goals.
The 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
And how it all ties back to shaping your identity for truly lasting change.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. Think about one small habit, just one. Maybe something you want to start or something you want to stop.
How could you apply just one principle we talked about today? Make it obvious, attractive, easy, or satisfying to take that very first tiny step.
And while you're thinking about that step, reflect on who you want to become. What identity are you trying to build?
We're really excited for you to experiment with these powerful ideas. Thanks for joining us on The Growth Snack.